Okay, welcome to another edition of Track Talk Tuesday with Pinoyathletics on the 1st of September 2020. So we're going to begin off by mainly discussing the new national record in the 200 meters. I'm just going to check now to make sure that this live stream is actually pushing through on Facebook. Okay, good, it is. Okay, so without further ado, I'll just quickly present some slides. Here you go. Awesome. So yeah, Ronald Not has broken Lydia de Baker's 100-meter national record in the weekend with a run of 11:27, breaking Lydia de Baker's 11:28. So I'll just play a quick video of that. One minute. Okay. So yeah, like Zoom login is attached to the page in the group. I'm just going to play this quick video. Okay, just 1 minute. I'll just share that one. Okay, so I played the video. of Christina Not's 100. We'll be coming up with some reactions later on that video. Okay. Okay, so just a quick comparison after the video of Christina Not and Lydia De Vega. So here are some stats on the two athletes with noticeable differences in backgrounds. Okay, so just making sure that that screen was showing on the stream. So yeah, so like 87. So this sort of, I'm just getting like I was just in a rush to create this spreadsheet, so I kind of like just noticed a typo there. It's been quite a crapper of a day, to be honest. So I just really rushed a lot of this presentation. So yeah, so so like some comparisons between Christina Not and Lydia De Vega. Obviously, as pointed out, Christina Not has a Filipino mum, and like Lydia De Vega had two Filipino parents, which has been pointed out by some commenters on Pinoyathletics, which I'll address in a minute. Christina Not obviously started athletics at a later age, 16, 17, whereas Lydia De Vega started at a much earlier age of 11 and 12, competing in grade 5 and grade 6. And Christina Not didn't really take up athletics until later in high school, which is something to note as well. So obviously, if we look at Lydia De Vega, she was 11 or 12 when she started running. She was 23 when she set the national record. So she'd been running for about 11 years at that point when she was at her prime. Christina Not has been running for about 8 or 9 years at 25. To get where she is today. So she's been running about 8 or 9 years. So now we look at the statistics. Let's remove this a little bit. Okay, so Lydia De Vega ran 11:28 and 23:35. Christina Not ran 11:27 and 23:01 for the 1 and the 2. So obviously, now Christina Not's time is a bit in front, roughly 0.01, so around the mark of Lydia De Vega. But in the 200, her time is quite significantly faster, like we're talking 0.01 and 0.34 here. So if at the time when she ran 23:01 in the SEA Games, her PB was 11:42. So if we divide 23:01 by 2, we get 11:50. So meaning with those times, she's running around, roughly, close to what her 100 time is for each 100 of that 2. Whereas with Lydia De Vega, she ran 23:35 at that point, and if you divide 23:35 by 2, that's 11:62. Which is quite somewhat off her 11:28, meaning that she's losing quite a lot of speed in that 200. So I mean, if you ran 11:28, theoretically, you should be able to run about 22.60 off that. You know, double 11.28 is 22.56. You should be able to run 22.60, 22.70, certainly below 23 with these sort of times. Yeah, so that's a comparison, is that Christina Not, in all aspects, is honestly able to hold up, you know, her 200 speed a lot better than, you know, Lydia de Vega was able to at the time. I mean, if we even went into, I haven't even put it here yet, but if we went into 60 meter times, I mean, de Vega was about 7.3, Not was a 7.4, but like, she's probably gotten quicker based on that start in this video. So, you know, like Lydia's running 11.28 off her 7.3, 7.37, 60 meter time. Yeah, so that's the first set of information we have here. Then we're looking at the next set of information here, which is the Olympic 100 standards. So the Olympic qualifiers we're checking out now. Again, I'm just checking the stream to make sure that this is actually coming up right on the screen. It doesn't seem to be. Oh, here we go. Yeah, now it's up. Okay, there's a bit of a delay in the live stream. So, yeah, the Olympic 1 and 200 meter qualifiers is 11.15 and 22.80 for the 1 and the 2 for the women's 100. Last time I checked, there was 21 athletes who had hit that qualification, but that's probably, in the 200, there was about 21 athletes who had hit the standard out of, I think it was 32 slots, or maybe it was 40 slots, but yeah, there was about 21 qualifications in there, but it's probably changed since now. But the other thing to note is that the qualification period is from November 30 till June 13. So as of June 2020 to November 30, 2020, we are actually in a non-qualifying period at the moment, to align with the fact that, you know, there's longer between 2016 and 2021 Olympics. So yeah, so based on these stats, Christina Not is now 0.12 off the Olympic 100 meter standard, and she's now in the 200. She's now just well, she is but based on her 200 time in the SEA Games, she's 0.21 off that time. But because obviously, you know, she's had a gain in the 100, you know, if we times 11.27 by 2, that gives us 22.56, which is actually 0.24 faster than the 200 time. That's why, you know, like, the goal is, the objective is to try and qualify in both events, but as explained before, the 200 seems to show quite a lot of, there seems to be a lot of like leverage now on that 200, with the fact that, you know, the 100's gotten quicker, so naturally that 2 should also come down as well. Okay, next. So yeah, now this is the women's 100 meter all-time list for the 100 meters. So Christina Not now tops it with 11.27 with that plus 1.5 tailwind in the weekend. So Lydia de Vega now with that 11.28, which was a remarkable performance because it was set 33 years ago in the 1987 Southeast Asian Games. Now, a lot of people are asking me on Pinoyathletics if we have a video available for that. Unfortunately, we don't, but if we do have a video, we will provide it as soon as it becomes available to us. As you know, we don't really hold stuff back. Yeah, so then of these athletes, Zion Nelson is ranked 3rd with 11.41 last year. And of these athletes, 4 of them are currently still active: Christina Not, Zion Nelson, Kayla Richardson, and Kyla Richardson. So these four full heritage athletes from states in Canada. They're all active at the moment. In fact, they were the four members of that comprised the 4x1 at the SEA Games that took the silver medal and set a new national record. So of these names as well, important to note is that so these four, Not, Nelson, Richardson, and Richardson are from they're all active now, so they're from today's period. These athletes here, Ganossa, Capistrano, Moros Posadas, and Lydia de Vega, these are 80s, early 90s athletes. These two athletes here, Griffey and Gabito, were 2000, and in the case of Griffey, 2010 athletes. So basically, with the women's 100 meters for the all-time list, four late 80s, 90s athletes, four currently running athletes, and then two athletes who were running around like I would like to say around 10, 8, 5, 6, 7, 6, 5 years ago, 10 years ago, for these two. Okay. So the next thing. So yeah, just with all due respect to Lydia de Vega, this is just some information on her records to the public. So Lydia de Vega's national records so far. So at one stage, Lydia de Vega held 6 national records, 3 in the women's, 3 in the junior women's, and like in the 1, the 2, and the 4. But now only one of those records still stands. So this is just going through the records. So in the women's 100, Lydia de Vega held the 100-meter record from 1982 to 2020, possibly longer, possibly 81, but I haven't really dug into it. Haven't had time. So take into account when she ran the 11:28 in 97, it wasn't the first time she actually broke the Philippine record, because I mean, when she ran the Philippine junior record in New Delhi at the Asian Games and won the Asian Games as an 18-year-old, 11:76 was the national record, because like it was quicker than what any senior had ran. So she started breaking national records at a very early age and just continued to improve on them until she reached her prime in 1987 at the age of 23 and ran 11:28 at the 1987 SEA Games. So in the women's 200, she held the women's 100 record for 38 years. She held the women's 200 for 28 years, from 81 to 2019. It was first broken by Zion Corrales Nelson at the West NCAA Championships in Sacramento with 23, 24, and 23:16 it was. So there's another thing fixed there. So 23:16. 2019, then Christina Not further improved on those records with 23:07 and 23.01. So the women's 400, that record was held by Lydia de Vega for 32 years, from 81 to 2013, when she ran 54:75. And the women's 400 and the junior women's 400 are tied up, because all the people who have broken the women's 400 record, including de Vega herself, were all juniors when they did it. So the junior/women's record was broken first by Jenny Rose Rosales at the UAAP in 2013, then Zion Nelson with 54:64 at 54:18, and then by Kayla Richardson with 53:81. where it remains. Looking at the other record, so the junior women's 100 was held by, that was actually the shortest record that De Vega held, but it still stood for 22 years. It was broken in 2004 by Princess Joy Griffey with 11.75. Then it was broken again by Kayla Richardson with 11.65 in 2015. The 11.65 by Kayla in 2015 wasn't her Southeast Asian Games run. It was a run at the California Interschool meet. The only remaining record of Lydia De Vega is her impressive junior record in the 200, which has stood for 39 years. You know, she was 17 when she ran in the time of 23.54. Okay, next. So, reactions to KK's record, what do you think? Well, I'm just going to make some comments. I've seen some rather snide comments, to be honest, on Pinoyathletics. You know, with some comments about, oh, the athlete isn't pure Filipino, or like making a lot of analogies and comparisons with Lydia De Vega. I think that we have to respect both these athletes, but that's what we need to do. I mean, for a start on Pinoyathletics, I've got a very firm policy that, you know, like, everybody's entitled to an opinion. Everyone's allowed to express their opinion. Everybody is allowed to have their say. But at the end of the day, it should not come down to any personal attacks on anybody. That's absolutely, I absolutely do not tolerate that. You know, it's not, you know, if we're going to have discussions on athletics, they should be constructive, well researched, and informative, and everyone should keep an open mind on things. I think that, to be honest, you know, I respect both these athletes because, for example, I understand that Lydia De Vega is a household name. She's an icon. You know, she is, you know, very well known in the hearts and minds of the Filipinos, and she still is. I don't see, you know, like, it's completely understandable. You know, the things to remember is these are different times. We're talking about the 80s, and, you know, from today, fast forward, you know, 38 years. The things that are respectable is that, you know, De Vega's record stood a very long time. You know, like, we're talking, the shortest of those records I just read out stood for 22 years. 38 years, you know, 39 years before some of these records were broken, which is something to be extremely proud of. The fact that, you know, you're able to create times that have really stood and are still relatively, you know, 11:28 is still, you know, relatively good because, I mean, Christina Not broke the time at 0.01 and 11:27 ranks the top 25 in the world. So, you know, even today, Lydia's times are respectable. What I'm saying is that with some of these remarks, is that, yeah, like, I mean, the records are meant to be broken eventually. I mean, eventually records come, records go. Eventually, yeah. But, you know, like, when people are commenting about, you know, if an athlete is, you know, like, not pure Filipino or an athlete is Filipino, for me, I don't see what the point of it is. I mean, you know, like, I'm pretty sure that, you know, like, Christina just has worked really hard to get where she is in terms of getting this performance, and, you know, she really put a lot of passion into representing the Philippines. So she even, like, went and trained and lived with the athletes there, before COVID, and like went through the same sort of things that they went through in terms of like the accommodation, the funding, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that we should be just wishing her all the best in this Olympic dream, and like being a bit more constructive about what sort of comments we're making in regards to the athletes, in regards to how the athlete fits in. I mean, I think that we should be happy the national record has finally been broken after 39 years, and like this could be like at 25 he could still continue to improve on this record. So I think that we should really support her in her Olympic campaign. All right, so the next next screen. So yeah, this next screen is the UAP board will reach a verdict on the UST Sorsogon bubble incident today. As of now, quite a few of the members have already changed teams due to fears of a possible sanction on UAP on the UST basketball team, which would be one of the more worst case scenarios. As of now, I've been in touch with some reporters to try to get an update on this, but I haven't got any information yet on this topic. But once they have some news, they'll provide me with some scoops on the story. Okay, so last week we interviewed Cristobal Marquez on Saturday, former two-time SEA Games champion in the women's marathon. These are some things we picked up, some valuable lessons and some important notes regarding her journey. I saw the national athletes training at Baguio, and I hope one day that could be me. So that's what Marquez said to us when she was a teenager, and she first saw all the national athletes training there, was inspired to one day make that her goal, which later became a reality as she went on to win two SEA Games marathon championships and break the Philippine record in the 10,000 meters, which still stands. Okay, another quote here is, our recovery for 25 times 400 meters was 30 seconds, but I ended up getting 10 seconds because the boys were quicker, so I didn't get as much rest. So yeah, as the only female training squad, was tough, had to train with the male athletes, and was just as determined to make sure that she wasn't going to hold back. So training was 160 to 200 kilometers when training for the Fort Mary Marathon. The 10K national record was just something that happened on the way. Okay, the link below, Pinoyathletics.info, Cristobal Marquez, the marathon queen. We have full bio and all coverage of our exclusive interview with Cristobal Marquez, of that 1 hour interview that we had with her last Saturday. All right, so finishing off, track ovals in the Philippines. Again, this is a reference guide, a complete comprehensive reference guide of 78 track ovals in the Philippines at pinoyathletics.info/athletic track. And all the details can be found there. Moving on, survey results. So we conducted a survey on our Pinoyathletics Facebook group. If a student is recruited by a school on an athletic scholarship and they follow the coach's program 100%, and in a year they do not improve or marginally improve, should they be removed from their scholarship? Considering the student has good academics, passing grades. 23 said no, they should not be removed. 23 yes, 3 people said yes, and 2 people said the coach should be accountable. Right, so rounding it off, I'll be conducting my testing for athletes that I'm looking after at the moment. So for the middle distance runners, we're having a Coleman test, which is 1 minute, which is a test for 800 meters. You run 1 minute, record the distance, rest 3 minutes, then run another minute and record the distance. So that simulates, how far the athlete can get in a set period of time with calculations, and we can figure out an 800 meter time off that. Solo effort in this case. The copper test, 1500 meters, 12-minute run, record the distance, sprints. So yeah, I'm giving the athletes, 2 boys I'm working with, who are in their late teens, 60, 150, 300 on full recovery. So about 20 minutes, 15, 20 minutes between 60 and the 150, maybe up to about 30 minutes between the 150 and the 300. The boys PB'd this week at 16.5 and 16.7 for 150 last week as part of the session. So it's going to be interesting to see, if they, surely they're going to go a little bit quicker with, less runs in total, because, the 16.5, 16.7s, that was after doing about maybe, 800, 900 meters worth of sprints, so in a session. So they'll be a bit fresher for testing week. Anyway, with that said, that is now, unfortunately, that is all we have time for today. So I'll just see who's tuned in. I'll just post some shout outs. So shout outs to Rain Carlos, Antonio Arcus, Jefferson Sebastian, Miladina Malari, Naveen Lagua, Wilson McCavery, Ronald Tampos, Sean Parado, Carlos Rendon, Zijing Lee, Nina Buenaventura, and some more. Yep. And who else is tuned in? I think there's a few more. There's a few more. Okay. All right. So thank you, and we will next be screening on Saturday. Bye. Hello and welcome to a rather late edition of Pinoyathletics Speed Talk Sunday. I'm your host, Enzo Williams, Andrew Pirie. This is going to be a quick, brief summary of the week's events. I'll start with some updates. I'm just going to share the screen. Oh yes, I have 4 viewers on now and a like already. Now 6 viewers. Oh, an interesting Sunday. Now, just bear with me for a minute. I'm just opening up. Oh, he's all 8 viewers now. Interesting. Back down to 7. Okay. All right. So, welcome to Speed Talk Sunday, Pinoyathletics, on the 6th of September 2020. Now, I'll just begin off with some news updates. So, yeah, the first thing is I have been ran for the incumbent vice presidency of the Association of Track and Field Statisticians, which was previously held by a guy from Sweden, who's now vacated the position. So the ATFS, or the Association of Track and Field Statisticians, was founded 70 years ago in 1950, but the original founders, Roberto Quercetani and Donald Potts first published their first ATF annual in 1948. The Philippines has had two former members of the ATFS, Colonel Romulo Constantino, the former Secretary General of PATAFA, and Mr. Ying Chow, who are now both deceased. I have been a member of the ATFS since 2013 as former PSC research assistant and co-founder of Pinoyathletics. I'm currently based in Australia. So moving on to some more interesting news. Ernest Obiena competed at a competition in Insbruck in Austria. Unfortunately, I believe it was called the Golden Route Challenge. Unfortunately, the meet got stopped due to heavy rain, and EJ had to stop at 5:40 after clearing heights at 5.30 meters. There were 5 jumpers left in the competition in that meet. I do have a video which I will be sharing in a moment. I'll be sharing some highlights of that video with EJ's jumps. So just with the Golden Roof Challenge, due to heavy rainfall, the Golden Roof Challenge competition director had decided not to finish the men's pole vault competition for the safety of the athletes. Ernest Obiena cleared 5:30 and had to stop at 5.40 meters. EJ is now on his way to Ostrava with his coach, Vitaly Petrov. So he has 2 more comps until September the 17th. After that break, 6 weeks with Coach Petrov, will begin his new training program all the way till the Tokyo Games. His aim is to jump 6 meters by August 21. I'll now play some footage of that competition. I'll just got to change the share screen. Bear with me for a minute.
Challenge. Yes. 2 years and now it is the second attempt. Constantino is 5:10. That is soaked. That's always a problem.
So as you can see, it's really wet at this meet. Everyone's in jackets. You know, the runway is absolutely drenched. So it's very, very testing conditions here. See if I
this run didn't seem right. They took short steps. And we're still hoping for the co-voters to make a great competition. It's important to keep the head dry, hold dry, so you don't slip. They're still not really pushing with those last sets because he knows he doesn't have to push too much at this height. Oh, okay. I already thought I didn't see that so close. That was the second attempt that he failed, but now he's almost. And next height is being set up, which is 5:30. First ball to Obiena. first attempt. Oh, yeah. That was spectacular. I think the break was not bad for the pole vaulters because conditions have really improved. And I think there's quite a bit we can expect this men's pole vault.
Get about 18 viewers then. I'm just having a quick look. I'll post some shout outs in a minute.
Obiena is next. His second attempt. For me, he had some tough times to it. Vaulting with coached by Italy Trento. Italy Trento is probably the most successful coach in pole vaulting, training Segundo, Thiago Plaza Silva, or Dylan Zibaia. And he just stopped his run. He could try again. Doesn't count as a jump because he got too far beyond the 0 line. And there he goes. Same problem as the one he wide before. Height is not the problem, but he hits the bar on his way down. There you see height, no problem. The standards are too far back. And then with that down, he hits the ground. As I said before, we don't want it to get dangerous.
Okay, yeah, so the pole vault meet at wasn't able to finish with 5 vaulters left in the competition. EJ clearing at 5:30 before everyone had to retire from that competition due to the weather. So we've just posted some quick shout outs to people who are following this video. So shout outs to Nola Yebra, Ian Panin, Kyle Quillaquill, Arvel Saniko, John Paul Sarian, Ronald Not, and Romulo Salvatierra with a rather sad face there. Cheer up, buddy. And Falsi Hassan Del Rio tuning in for tonight's broadcast. All right, so I'll just move to our next article. So yeah, so currently at the moment there are only a few Filipino heritage athletes competing at the moment. So there's EJ, there's Ronald Not, who broke the Philippine record of Lydia de Vega last week with 11:27. There's Natalie Oai, and also in Scotland, Connor Henderson. He just ran at the British National Championships last week. he had a very slight improvement on his season's best of 54.02 in the 400 hurdles, and he ran 53.99, season's best. He was unfortunate to miss out on the final by one space, finishing ninth. Henderson competed at the 2018 National Championships and got the silver medal behind Francis Medina in the 400 hurdles. So unfortunately we don't have a video of the heats. The final was won in 49.67. Another highlight of the British Championships, which has been recently held in Manchester City, in the north of England. Like the British Championships, a lot fewer entries than possible because a lot of athletes are not quite ready yet due to COVID. So, instead of having 4 heats in the 400 hurdles, they had like 2 heats. Men's 100, instead of having 6, 7, or 8 heats, they had 4 heats. So there was like a lot less entries at the British National Championships. But one of the highlights of the British National Championships was Harry Aikines-Aryeetey, who is now 30 years of age, a former World Youth and World Junior champion from the British athletics system, winning his first national title at the age of 30. So, he'd been up against some rather top sprinters who have now all retired, and Aikines now had his moment at the British National Championship. So I'll just be playing a very quick video of the 100-meter dash at the British National Championships, which was won by Harry Aikines. So it was a good race. This race is pretty good. It basically shows the importance of rhythm and patience in the race, and Aikines executed it really well. I'm just going to bring up the video. Here we go. I won't play the whole video because we're trying to sort of not spend too long. Yeah, we'll leave it here. Yeah, so like a good win from a very experienced British athlete there. Um, okay, I'll just give some quick shout outs on Facebook. So we have quite a lot of viewers now. Just adding to the list of shout outs I didn't include. So Bri Tuzon, Arvel Sanico, Royal Magalianes, J.R. Reales, Lemor Santiago, Pedro Metong, Dave Sack, Joe Luis Sampson Surveil, John Armstrong FX, Edith Wakefield. Okay, moving on to the next part of our segment. Yeah, so in process there's an article by myself and Connor Henderson, why employers shouldn't hire athletes. So that's something that's in the pipe work at the moment to watch out for. Okay, so I now have the results. We were able to conduct a two-man time trial at Las Vegas with some athletes I work with. The 60 meters was actually, or in fact 50 meters. It was not measured out correctly. There were no markings. Um, obviously the times weren't correct because the world record of Coleman is 6.3. So yeah, the athletes ran 150 meters. We had it counter checked with video software. Obviously, 16.8 and 8.2, 300 meters. Both athletes PB'd in that because the 300 is not a race they run very often. Moving to the next screen. So the results of the time trials of Saturday in Las Vegas. Based on that, these are the predicted outcome times of the athletes for the 1, the 2, and the 4, based on the 50, 150 numerous times and 300 times. This is what we came out with as predicted outcomes for 1, 2, and 400 meters. The next thing I'll do is I'll just quickly actually play the video now. Let me just exit out of that share screen. I'll just quickly play a video of the athletes having, managing to have a time trial. I mean, it's been very difficult with coaching during the COVID, but like being able to stitch together a time trial and this sort of period sort of bodes well for when we come out of COVID. Just having a quick look. Okay, here we go. Quickly share the screen. So yeah, the 50 was actually more like 60 was actually more like a 50-meter trial because it wasn't
Go.
it wasn't accurate. Well, it wasn't marked, so they had to estimate that. But the 150 and the 300 had check marks. And then 300s they ran solo because they needed to take it to actually video it as they needed to start it. While watching these videos, I just post some more shout outs. So adding to the list of additional viewers, also Elizabeth Quintana. and some more people. So also Alera and Labita, Alex Toledo, and Ralphs and Conde have joined the live stream. Okay. Okay, so here's a. Okay, okay, so here's a quick report on Eric Cray via the PATAFA. So yeah, Eric Cray was in great shape during the season, heading towards the Tokyo qualifying. He was much stronger and consistent. More focus was put on his race pattern and speed endurance. It was noted the 50.21 second time of Eric in the SEA Games in 2019 in December. New race, he was still adjusting to his new race pattern and correcting many technical lapses. If he had been able to master the adjustments required for the SEA Games, it could have been a 49.8 or faster race, which puts him at perfect progress for December to put on track to run a 48.5 or faster as early as USA Outdoors in March. The Olympic qualifying is 48.90. During his first race in the 2020 outdoor season on February 13th, 2020, Eric ran a PB of 47.8 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. His previous indoor personal best was 48.28 in 2015. This induced he was in extremely good shape heading into the 2020 outdoor season. It was stated that during practice in April or at the height of this pandemic, Eric timed 46.5, for the 400-meter flat speed. As COVID numbers went up and facilities shut down, Eric trained at local parks and in the El Paso streets. However, once the Olympics was postponed to 2021, it was decided to keep Eric off the streets to reduce injury risk. While in good physical shape, the number of training venues became even more limited and harder to access as COVID numbers in Texas, one of COVID's hotspots in the US, continued to rise. In addition, understandable COVID-19 related delays in funding continued, and the dangers of travel during the pandemic prevented the attainment of ideal training and competition conditions. Such delays have, however, been resolved with a close working relationship between PSC and PATAFA. Training for 2021 continues, and the plan is to join the 2020 National Championships in the second week of December if the 20 National Championships pushes through. It'll be an Olympic qualifier which could trigger the participation of some of the region's and world's top athletes. Okay, so on that note, with that report which was sent through the PATAFA, I've got to ask the question. The Philippine National Open is in December. That is just 13 weeks away. Putting a question mark here as a lot of athletes are not even able to get to track ovals to train. In most cases, just in home-based training. So the question is 13 weeks going to be enough time to prepare for a national championships? I put a big question mark there as COVID is looking like, around 85 to 100 deaths a day. It doesn't seem to be slowing down anytime soon. So the big question is 13 weeks going to be anywhere near enough to get athletes back into competition without any minor competitions to prepare them for a national championship? So I leave that question to the viewers. So moving on with the last thing, UST versus the UAAP board. So after the resignation of the UST sports director Evergrado, and also the recent resignation of Elgin Io, the UST basketball coach. You know, like the question begs now is that are these two resignations going to be enough to appease the UAAP board, or is the UAAP board looking at putting an even stricter sanction on UST? You know, are they going to suspend the basketball team? Are they going to suspend all sports? I guess next week the UAAP board will deliberate on this and come up with a final resolution onto what the fate of UST will be at the next UAAP, presuming that the next UAAP, which would be scheduled in next February, even pushes through at this rate. Yeah, so what are your thoughts on this? What are your thoughts on the National Open? What are your thoughts on the COVID situation and the new normal? Yeah, so you'll feel free, as we do encourage open discussion on our Pinoyathletics Facebook group, so facebook.com/Pinoyathletics, or Pinoyathletics Facebook page, where we're open to several ongoing engaged discussions on these topics. So you can discuss anything we discussed today, from IATF to the possible when the National Open will be held, to athletes transitioning into the workplace, to coaching during the pandemic. Anyway, I guess that's all we have time for today. It is now 11, just past the hour of 11 o'clock in Sydney, Australia, and 9 o'clock, just past 9 o'clock in the Philippines. So, yeah, so now I'm just signing off, and we'll be back on Tuesday for another edition of Pinoyathletics Track Talk. Thank you, and God bless.